Hello everyone, welcome you all in this session. Myself, Assistant Professor Ripa Gupta from LJ School of Law. So we'll continue with our topic that in the Law of Contract Act, that is obligation of parties. That is in connection with the performance of contract that we have already discussed about performance contract, section 37 of the act we have discussed. Uh, in the performance of contract, we have seen the actual performance and attempted performance. Now we'll see the obligation of parties in the performance of contract. So first of all, let us understand what is obligation. In the law of contract, obligation means when the contracting parties are obligatory to perform their functions. Where I made an obligation that I'll perform this function for you, or you made a promise me that you will perform this function to me. That is, obligation means duties that we have, consented each other that we perform these duties. That is called obligation. So in performance of contract, obligation is necessary that the parties has to perform their duty, has to perform their obligation where they have agrees to it for the performance of contract. So obligation is a very essential part of the performance of contract. It may be of anything like to pay money, like to deliver the goods, like to in particular time and date from the contract. So obligation may be different as per your contract. So we'll discuss a case over here. In this, the case is Anne Kamalkant versus Anne Maklikant. In this case, the plaintiff purchased some property from the defendant, but he retained some amount that he has to pay to the defendant by saying that you need to vacate the places where his tenant are living. So the defendant has to perform his part, that he has to vacate that place. If he cannot vacate the place, he will not able to take the money from the plaintiff. So here, by not vacating the place, defendant is infringed the contract over here. So by not performing his part, that resultant into the infringement of the contract. So here, the main performance was to keep the place vacant, and that was the part of the defendant. Defendant failed to do this. So here his act on vacating the place it result into the infringement of contract. So now we understand the tender of performance. The tender performance where the offerer offers some performance from the offerer to perform, and if he fails to do that, then he say that he is not performing his part. So tender performance means the party agrees to perform on the contracting obligations, and by not accepting the tender performance, it resulted into the infringement of the contract, or now by not performing the contract, he discharged from the offerer discharged from his liability. So offer is, if it offer was not accepting the offer from the or the performance from the offerer, then offerer is discharged from his liability, and this from this contract too. And as well as the both parties may be entitled to sue each other if they are not performing their part. So now we'll see the tender of performance. Section 38 subclause 1 says that the tender performance must be unconditional. That means there should not be any condition for the performance of contract. If I'm giving any condition for performance of contract, it is void. So the tender performance, that is the performance, should be unconditional. In other sense, we can say that there should be no any condition for the performance of contract precedent to the performance or subsequent to performance. So without any condition, there should be a performance of contract. For example, over here, A offers B to pay some amount of money if B sells him certain goods. Now this become a conditional contract. A can put condition that if you are selling me these goods, I'll pay you the money. So it's a conditional contract, and this is invalid contract or invalid tender for performance. Section 38 subclause 2 talks about definite time and place. It says that if your contract defines particular time and place, then you have to perform that contract in particular time and place. In the case of PLSARS Saptavati Chatti versus Krishna Iyer, it says that tender of party has defined the performance of the contract in particular time and place. If the party is not performing on the particular time and place, it can be discharged from the parties because the performance need to be performed on the particular time and place. Section 38 subclause 3 talks about reasonable time. If there is no definite time and place mentioned in the contract, then the performance of the contract should be done in a reasonable time and place. First example, I have delivered two goods from Gonda to Rajkot, but due to rain I could not able to deliver the goods on time. Then in reasonable time, within 2 days time, if it is a perishable nature goods, then I have to send the goods as soon as possible. So according to the contract to contract, the time, if it is not defined, then it should be performed on the reasonable time and reasonable date. So if there is absence of definite time and place, the reasonable time can be measured as a appropriate for the performance of contract. So we have discussed about the second part of the performance of contract. Priorly we understand about section 37 of the act, which talk about performance of contract. This we have discussed about section 38 of the performance of contract of the obligation of parties. This particular section defines about the particular time and place. Then conditional, no, the condition must be unconditional, and the reasonable time. So this is about the performance of contract, where the parties are under obligation to perform the contract under specific situations. So this is the second part of the performance of contract. In next section we will learn about section 40, 41, where we will discuss about the joint promissors and the different facets of the performance of contract. Thank you.